In Manitowoc County Court today, a judge refusing to move the trial of Jesse Vang, charged in the disappearance and death of 3-year-old Elijah Vue. Vang, one of 2 people charged after Vue disappeared from Two Rivers in February of 2024. That fall, Elijah was found dead following months of community searches. In court today, the judge denying defense motions to change venue or bring in jurors from another county or even sequester the jury, ruling that media coverage has mostly been factual and that sequestration would be an undue hardship for jurors. Prosecutors say they won't use cadaver dog results at trial. They're still waiting on analysis from an FBI sand and gravel expert. There's a motion hearing on that set for July 31st. Elijah's mother, Katrina Bauer, also had a brief hearing today with another status conference now set for July 31st as well.